new starters for the Patriots this year. And of course, Will Campbell, Stephon Diggs, the big names on offense to help out Drake May, who needed it after last season. But also look at the defensive side of the ball. That really fell apart last year. A lot of guys they're expecting to step in and play well immediately. Harold Landry, Robert Spillane, Carlton Davis, and of course, the big one, Milton Williams at defensive tackle. Patriots think if they can get their defense right and give Drake May enough help, they could be a competitive team as early as 2025 in the AFC East.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels on offense with all his new players. To Bill's point, I'm looking at this defense, and he makes a great point about all the free agent additions, and I feel like a couple of the players who have been in the building really need to become the leaders of this unit, particularly Christian Gonzalez, who's now entering his third year at corner, is fantastic, one of the best man corners in the NFL already. He now gets to play opposite Carlton Davis. And then Christian Barmore is kind of the forgotten man, was injured last year, was out due to blood clots, comes back. When he was healthy, was an absolute star in the making. And so I think those two players I'm looking at terms of some continuity on this defense as they integrate all the new additions.
Yeah, for a team that spent more money than any other in the NFL on free agents this season. Are we talking about the Patriots? Crazy. All right, now to the Meadowlands, where the Jets are starting anew with their first-year head coach Aaron Glenn and their new quarterback Justin Fields. Bill, what's their superlative?
Yeah, ahead of the Patriots spent money earlier this offseason. The Jets are most likely to spend money here late in the offseason. That's because they have a good problem. 4 really promising young players coming due for extensions. The priority should be Garrett Wilson, who has made incredible catches, been excellent as a pro so far, despite catching passes from 8 different quarterbacks. On the other side, Sauce Gardner, awesome as a rookie, but has he played up to that level in recent years? I'm not so sure. Some tackling issues, and he really struggled, like a lot of Jets players, after Robert Saleh left last year. So maybe prioritizing Wilson over Gardner as they hand out these deals.
I was in Detroit when the Dan Campbell era started, and Aaron Glenn was obviously on that staff. And what surprised me and impressed me was how honest and self-aware that build was going to be. And Aaron Glenn talked about that every time I visited with him every summer in those camps. And year one there was figuring out the roster and who wanted to be a part of it and who didn't. And I think the fact that the Jets don't want to be off-season champs, they can have a ceremony passing the torch to the Chicago Bears on that one. But they're just going to have a quiet off-season, a quiet summer, re-signing the guys who want to be there, who are going to be part of this, and getting rid of the guys who don't over the next year. It's very, very important what they're doing. This is going to take a couple years, but it's going to work.
Yeah, haven't been in the playoffs since 2010. Longest active drought in the NFL.
Impossible.
Quiet summer in New York. Imagine that. All right, off to South Beach. I thought people wanted to go to South Beach, but we have Tyreek Hill, and now we have Jalen Ramsey. I mean, what's his future there? I don't know, Bill, what is your superlative for the Finns?
Yeah, it's least likely to find a good solution for their biggest remaining problem, and timing here matters. Jalen Ramsey and the Dolphins appear to want to break up, which is okay, that happens. But you can't do that in the middle of April when you have more than $23 million guaranteed coming to you, because most teams have already spent the vast majority of the money they have to work with. And so Jalen Ramsey is a good player. He's also now on the wrong side of 30, has meniscus tears in his past in both of his knees. And frankly, teams just don't have that much money left in their coffers at this point of the offseason. So I would expect them to have some trouble finding a good fit for Jalen Ramsey in a trade.
Yeah, I think what's concerning here for the Dolphins is, one, what Bill said, which is it's going to be hard for them to pull off a trade that works in their favor at this point. And two, even if they are able to trade him, especially if they are, frankly, this secondary is a real issue. It might be, I think, my biggest question mark on this football team. I mean, if Ramsey leaves, you're looking at a cornerback group of Kader Coase, Storm Duck, Cam Smith. They drafted a player this year. Javon Holland, their star safety, is gone. I like their pass rush, but behind them, a little bit concerned. And I'm doubly concerned if Ramsey walks out the door.
Yeah, they allowed the 7th most passing yards per game over the last 6 weeks of the season. So you're right on there. All right, let's shuffle off to Buffalo, where the Bills continue their recent dominance of the AFC East. Bill, what's their superlative?
It's a boring one, but most likely to stay the course. Brandon Beane wants to draft and develop his guys, and so you saw that this offseason. They didn't pay for a lot of guys from outside the building. They paid Khalil Shakir, Christian Benford, Gregory Rousseau, They did not go out and make that big all-in move the way they did a few years ago when they got Von Miller because it didn't work. I know Bills fans want that splashy addition to help beat the Chiefs, but this is a team that is going to try and do it by drafting their guys, developing them in the building, getting Sean McDermott to get with them, and then keeping them around for years to come.
Brandon Beane also most likely to call into a radio show to tell you that he's staying the course over the past couple of weeks. But for me, Bill, I'm looking at this roster and I look at these young guys who have to take a step forward because it's been a top-heavy roster the last couple of years. We saw some of the cornerback depth when Kyer Elam had to play against Kansas City, and he was literally tumbling the wrong way on a play. He's gone now, obviously, but then they replace him with Maxwell Harrison, who has to take a step forward. But Keon Coleman, to me, is the biggest X factor on the team. I didn't love him coming out of Florida State. His numbers were not good last year. If you look at Matt Harmon's reception perception, he was only really good at slants last year. He was not successful down the field at all. That's very disappointing for a contested catch guy with Josh Allen. We thought a big guy moving down the field quickly would be able to get more effective targets. That just did not happen. I need to see more from him, and so do the Bills.
I mean, Mina, are you with Kevin on this, on Coleman?
I think I have mixed feelings about him. Kevin, you're right. I don't think his rookie season was particularly impressive, but I also am not super concerned about it in the broader context of the Bills' offense because they were top 3 offense, right? And just about every stat, EPA per play, points per drive. And they did so because their identity has changed so much over the last few years. This is a physical, power-running offense built around the offensive line and their mutant quarterback. I would actually single out a different player, Kevin, that I think needs to take a step forward. That would be Dalton Kincaid, the first-round tight end. There's been flashes where you've seen why he was drafted where he was. And he, to me, can be actually a vertical threat for Josh Allen, too. Just hasn't been consistency on his part.
Listen, Bill, back to the Bills staying the course. I know that's something that really strikes you, but they did make one splash, right? So they signed Joey Bosa on the D-line. Now, if he's healthy, I think that's always a caveat with him. He's got to stay healthy. What do you make of that signing?
Yeah, if he's healthy, winning a Olympic weightlifting case for how much work he's doing. I mean, he's still a really good, versatile, two-way football player. He can create havoc in the backfield. He's a good run defender. And frankly, the Bills, I think, are heading into this with the right perspective. He's not going to be an every down player for the Buffalo Bills. They don't need him to be an every down player. But can he be a guy who plays 20, 25 snaps a game? Can they build up his workload as the year goes along? And then, of course, the big thing, of course, is now, can he do it in January and hopefully for the Bills in February when they need that extra pass rusher against Patrick Mahomes? So he doesn't have to be the guy the way he was in Los Angeles, and that might play to the Bills' favor.
Yeah, that might be a very good thing as they look to win the division for a 6th consecutive season. All right, coming up, Derrick Henry sat down with Chris Berman. Here's a sneak peek on why Baltimore was the perfect fit for the King.
The whole Raven culture, I felt like it fit me. It was a perfect match. Being at the top every year.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn nha. Mình sẽ giới thiệu cho các bạn về kênh của mình và những video của mình cho các bạn biết được là kênh của mình làm video sáng tạo nội dung về chủ đề gì. Video của mình sẽ làm xuyên suốt về chủ đề cắt dán này, mình sẽ cắt dán những sản phẩm như thế này cho các bạn xem. Còn đây là những sản phẩm mình đã hoàn thiện rồi, sẽ giới thiệu sơ qua cho các bạn xem những sản phẩm của mình và cách của mình tạo ra những sản phẩm như thế nào. Và để tạo ra được những sản phẩm đa dạng màu sắc như thế này và như thế này thì mình sẽ cần những dụng cụ như sau, những dụng cụ phụ bổ trợ như là đây là giấy thủ công màu các bạn, trước mặt bên